Deep in the jungles of northern Thailand, close to the border with Myanmar, lives a man who has spent years trying to leave his past behind. His name is John Rambo. He keeps to himself, speaks very little, and avoids making friends. The people living near the Salween River know him as a quiet boatman who occasionally catches venomous snakes and sells them to local traders. Every morning, Rambo heads into the jungle alone. He moves carefully through the thick trees, using years of survival experience to track dangerous snakes. Rambo also operates a small longboat along the Salween River, carrying people and supplies between villages. One afternoon, Rambo's peaceful routine is interrupted when a group of American missionaries arrives looking for a boat. The group is led by Michael Burnett and his wife, Sarah. They've traveled all the way to Thailand to deliver medicine, food, and medical supplies to Karen villagers living deep inside Myanmar. The roads leading to those villages have become too dangerous because of landmines and military checkpoints, leaving the river as the only safe way to reach them. Michael politely asks Rambo to take them across the border. Rambo immediately refuses. He tells them they have no idea what they're walking into. The soldiers across the river won't care whether they're carrying weapons or medicine. Michael understands the danger, that every human life is worth saving, even if helping them means risking your own. Rambo listens without interrupting, but years of war have made him see the world differently. He tells them that good intentions don't stop bullets, and kindness alone can't end a war. In his experience, violence always wins. Finally, Rambo lets out a quiet sigh. Something about Sarah's determination reminds him of the kind of hope he lost a long time ago. Against his better judgment, he agrees to take them across the river. However, he makes one thing perfectly clear. Once he drops them off, they're on their own. Early the next morning, Rambo loads the missionaries and their supplies onto his boat before steering it toward Myanmar. No one talks much during the journey. The missionaries quietly look around, knowing they're about to enter one of the most dangerous places in the region. Rambo stays focused on the river, carefully guiding the boat through the narrow channels. He has traveled this route countless times and knows that danger can appear without warning. After some time, another boat suddenly emerges from the fog and cuts across their path. A group of armed Thai pirates climbs aboard, surrounding the missionaries. Their leader immediately notices Sarah and demands that she be handed over. The rest of the missionaries try to explain that they're only carrying medicine and humanitarian supplies, but the pirates couldn't care less. Rambo remains completely calm. Without saying a word, he quietly reaches for his weapon. Before the pirates even realize what's happening, he strikes. His movements are quick, precise, and deadly. The entire fight is over almost as quickly as it began. The missionaries stand frozen in shock. Just a few moments ago, Rambo looked like nothing more than a quiet fisherman. Now they've witnessed the skills of a man who has spent his life surviving wars. Rambo checks the area to make sure no other attackers are nearby before restarting the boat as if nothing unusual had happened. Eventually, they arrive at a small Karen village hidden deep inside the jungle. Before leaving, Sarah thanks Rambo for bringing them safely across the river. She tells him that despite everything he believes, helping people like this still matters. He gives her one final warning. He tells her to leave as soon as their work is finished because the army could arrive at any time. Sarah smiles and assures him they'll be careful. Rambo starts his boat and heads back toward Thailand, convinced he'll never see any of them again. For the next few days, the missionaries dedicate themselves to helping the villagers. They treat the sick, distribute medicine, and care for children who have gone without medical attention for years. Although everyone knows the danger is never far away, life briefly begins to feel normal again. That peace is shattered when military trucks suddenly surround the village. Major Pa Tin arrives with a large group of Burmese soldiers. Without giving anyone a chance to escape, the soldiers open fire. Villagers run in every direction as bullets tear through the streets. Parents desperately try to protect their children, while others rush toward the jungle, hoping to escape. The soldiers show no mercy. They burn homes, execute anyone who resists, and force terrified survivors into the open at gunpoint. The attack lasts only a few minutes, but by the time it's over, the village has been completely destroyed. Those who survive are tied up and forced to march into the jungle. Young boys are separated from their families to be turned into child soldiers, while many women are taken prisoner. Michael, Sarah, the remaining missionaries, and several villagers are captured along with them. Several days pass, and the missionaries never return. Back in Thailand, the minister who sent them becomes increasingly worried. The team was supposed to report back after delivering the supplies, but there has been no message, no radio contact, and no sign of anyone coming downriver. Fearing the worst, he decides to organize a rescue mission. He hires a group of experienced mercenaries who specialize in operating in dangerous war zones. Their leader is a tough former SAS soldier named Lewis. Along with him are several heavily armed professionals, including a sniper known as Schoolboy. They have handled hostage rescues before, but none of them know the river or the jungle the way Rambo does. Lewis looks Rambo up and down and sees nothing more than an older boatman. He refuses Rambo's offer to join the rescue operation, insisting that trained professionals will handle the mission. Rambo works alone in his small workshop. He places a large piece of steel into a fire and begins forging a heavy survival knife. Sparks fly into the darkness as he repeatedly strikes the glowing metal with a hammer. He doesn't say a single word. By the time the blade is finished, his decision has already been made. Early the next morning, the team boards Rambo's boat. Unlike the missionaries, the mercenaries spend the entire journey in silence. They watch the riverbanks carefully, ready for an ambush at any moment. Rambo steers through the fog and winding channels with complete confidence, moving deeper into Myanmar. Eventually, they reach the agreed drop-off point. The mercenaries unload their gear and disappear into the jungle. Lewis gives Rambo a final reminder to stay with the boat and wait for their return. Instead of returning home, he follows the rescue team from a distance, moving quietly through the same jungle he once hoped never to enter again. Fortunately, the team is being guided by Myint, a Karen rebel who knows the area better than anyone. He leads them along hidden trails, avoiding roads where enemy patrols are most active. After several hours of hiking, they finally reach the village where the missionaries were last seen. The sight before them is horrifying. The entire village has been reduced to ashes. Burned houses still smolder, personal belongings are scattered across the ground, and lifeless bodies lie where they fell during the attack. There isn't a single sign that anyone managed to escape. The mercenaries slowly search the area, hoping to find a clue that the missionaries are still alive. Myint examines the tracks left behind in the mud and quickly realizes that several prisoners were taken instead of being killed. Before they can continue, voices echo through the trees. Everyone immediately takes cover. A truck carrying Burmese soldiers arrives at the edge of the village. With them are several Karen villagers tied together with ropes. The prisoners are exhausted, injured, and barely able to stand. The mercenaries watch in disbelief as the soldiers begin forcing the prisoners to walk across it. Terrified men and women beg for mercy, but the soldiers only laugh. They start placing bets on who will survive and who will be blown apart first. One prisoner refuses to move. A soldier immediately shoots him in the head. The others have no choice but to keep walking. Then an arrow suddenly flies out of the jungle. One soldier collapses before he even realizes he's been hit. Another arrow follows, then another. Within seconds, several soldiers are lying dead on the ground. Taking advantage of the confusion, Lewis and his team rush into the field and quickly lead the surviving prisoners to safety before anyone else can arrive. Lewis is furious that Rambo ignored his orders and followed them into Myanmar. He tells him this mission isn't his responsibility and orders him to go back to the boat. Rambo doesn't argue. Instead, he slowly raises his bow and points an arrow straight at Lewis. The entire team freezes. Without raising his voice, Rambo tells Lewis that everyone standing in this jungle made a choice the moment they crossed the river. They can either live for nothing or die for something. No one says another word. After watching Rambo eliminate an entire squad of soldiers by himself, the mercenaries finally understand who they're dealing with. Lewis lowers his weapon. From that moment on, Rambo is no longer just their boatman. He's part of the rescue team. With the surviving prisoners safe, Rambo, Lewis, and the rest of the team continue deeper into the jungle. After several hours, Myint finally spots the enemy camp hidden among the trees. The group studies the area from a nearby hill. Soldiers patrol the perimeter, while prisoners are kept inside a fenced section near the center of the camp. Armed guards stand watch from wooden towers, making a direct attack almost impossible during daylight. Lewis decides they'll wait until night. As darkness falls, the team quietly begins moving toward the camp. One by one, they silently eliminate the guards along the outer perimeter before slipping through the fence. Every movement is slow and carefully planned. No one speaks unless absolutely necessary. Inside the camp, they quickly find the prisoners. Sarah, Michael, and the remaining villagers are exhausted from days of abuse. Their hands are tied, and many of them are too weak to stand on their own. Sarah is relieved to see the rescue team, while Michael can barely believe they actually came back for them. Without wasting time, the mercenaries begin cutting everyone's restraints. Rambo quietly watches the surrounding guards while the others help the prisoners to their feet. Since many of them are injured, moving quickly isn't easy. The group slowly starts leaving the camp through the same route they used to enter. For a few minutes, everything goes exactly as planned. Then one of the guards notices that the prisoners are missing. He shouts an alarm. Within seconds, the entire camp erupts into chaos. Soldiers grab their weapons as searchlights sweep across the jungle. Gunfire breaks the silence, forcing the rescue team to abandon their quiet escape. Knowing they can't keep such a large group together, Lewis quickly divides everyone into two smaller teams. Lewis leads most of the rescued villagers toward the river using one route. Rambo takes Sarah, schoolboy, and a few others along a different path, hoping to draw some of the soldiers away from the larger group. Separated in the darkness, both teams race through the jungle while enemy soldiers close in behind them. The rescue isn't over yet. In fact, their most dangerous battle is still ahead. As the sun rises, Major Tint discovers that the prisoners have escaped. Furious, he immediately orders every available soldier to hunt them down. Within minutes, dozens of armed troops spread through the jungle, following footprints, broken branches, and any sign that could lead them to the escaping prisoners. Rambo's group hears the soldiers getting closer. The sound of barking orders and gunfire echoes through the forest, making it clear they don't have much time left. Sarah and the rescued villagers are exhausted after days of captivity, and they can't keep running forever. Realizing they need to slow the enemy down, Rambo searches the area for anything he can use. Hidden beneath the ground, he finds an old unexploded bomb left behind from a previous war. Even after all these years, it's still dangerous enough to kill anyone standing nearby. Working quickly, Rambo carefully prepares the bomb, while Schoolboy hands him a claymore mine from his backpack. Together, they connect the explosives, turning them into a powerful trap. Once everything is ready, the group moves farther into the jungle and waits. Only moments later, the soldiers arrive. Without noticing the hidden explosives, they rush straight into the trap. A massive explosion rips through the forest, shaking the ground beneath everyone's feet. Trees snap apart as dirt and debris fly into the air. Several soldiers are killed instantly, while the survivors are thrown to the ground in complete confusion. The explosion buys Rambo exactly what he wanted: time. He quickly leads Sarah and the others away before the remaining soldiers can reorganize and continue the chase. Meanwhile, Lewis's group is facing problems of their own. While helping the rescued villagers through the jungle, Lewis suddenly freezes. He has stepped on a landmine. Everyone immediately stops moving. Lewis knows that lifting his foot could trigger the explosion, but standing still isn't an option either. The team carefully tries to help him, keeping the frightened villagers calm while they search for a way to get him off the mine safely. After several tense moments, they manage to move him, but the mine explodes anyway. The blast throws Lewis to the ground and leaves him badly injured. Although he survives, he can no longer walk on his own. The mercenaries quickly build a stretcher from nearby branches and begin carrying him through the jungle, but their pace becomes much slower. That delay gives Major Tint's soldiers enough time to catch up. The jungle suddenly erupts with gunfire. The mercenaries fight back as best they can, protecting the rescued villagers while trying to push forward. The team is eventually surrounded. One by one, they're forced to surrender. Lewis, the remaining mercenaries, and the rescued villagers are captured once again and dragged back toward the military camp. Not far away, Rambo suddenly notices that the sound of gunfire has stopped. The silence tells him everything. Lewis and the others didn't make it. He looks at Sarah for a brief moment before making his decision. Instead of escaping across the river, Rambo turns back toward the enemy camp. Lewis and the surviving mercenaries are beaten and tied up once again. The soldiers believe the rescue mission is over and that no one else is coming. They're wrong. Hidden in the jungle surrounding the camp, Rambo quietly studies the soldiers' positions. He watches the guards, the machine gun nests, and the patrol routes, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. He finally makes his move. A guard standing on the edge of the camp suddenly collapses with a captured rifle. The sudden gunshots throw the entire camp into chaos. Soldiers rush in every direction, unsure where the attack is coming from. Hearing the fighting, Lewis and the other mercenaries seize their chance. They overpower the guards watching them, grab their weapons, and immediately join the battle. At the same time, Karen rebels led by Myint launch their own attack from the opposite side of the camp. Caught between Rambo and the rebels, the Burmese soldiers quickly lose control of the battlefield. Heavy gunfire echoes across the jungle. Explosions tear through the camp as trucks and ammunition supplies are destroyed. The prisoners use the confusion to run for cover, while the mercenaries protect them from incoming fire. Rambo keeps pushing forward without slowing down. Every weapon he finds becomes another tool for survival. He moves through the camp with incredible speed, taking down soldiers one after another before they even have a chance to react. Then he spots a mounted .50 caliber machine gun. Without hesitation, he climbs behind it, and trucks explode, and entire groups of soldiers are cut down within seconds. Anyone trying to organize a counterattack is forced back by the overwhelming firepower. Seeing his army collapsing, Major Tint realizes the battle is lost. Instead of helping his men, he turns and runs into the jungle, hoping to escape. Rambo immediately goes after him. Tint fires wildly over his shoulder, but Rambo keeps closing the distance. Eventually, the two men come face to face. Tint charges forward with a knife, hoping to catch Rambo off guard. The fight is short. Rambo easily blocks the attack, overpowers him, and drives his knife deep into Tint's stomach. The brutal commander falls to the ground, dead. With their leader gone, the remaining soldiers lose all hope. Some throw down their weapons and surrender, while others flee into the jungle. After one final battle, the nightmare is finally over. The prisoners are free. The survivors gather together and slowly begin the long journey back toward the river, leaving the burning camp behind them. The battle is finally over. Smoke rises from the destroyed camp as the sounds of gunfire slowly fade away. The surviving soldiers either surrender or disappear into the jungle, leaving behind the people they had terrorized for so long. The mercenaries immediately begin checking on the prisoners. Many of them are wounded, exhausted, and barely able to stand after days of abuse. Sarah rushes over to Rambo, relieved to see that he's alive. She doesn't need to say much. A simple look is enough to show how grateful she is that he came back. Lewis also walks over to Rambo. At the beginning of the mission, he had treated him like nothing more than an old boatman. Now he understands exactly who Rambo is. Without him, none of them would have survived. The group gathers the wounded and begins making the long journey back through the jungle. Everyone moves slowly, helping those who are too weak to walk on their own. The fighting may be over, but getting home is still a challenge. Rambo quietly watches the reunions from a distance. Sarah walks over to thank him one last time. This time, Rambo doesn't argue or tell her that helping people is pointless. Instead, he simply gives her a small nod before turning away. It's his way of admitting that maybe she was right all along. For years, Rambo believed nothing could change. He thought violence only created more violence, and that the world was beyond saving. But after risking everything to rescue complete strangers, something inside him has changed. Not long afterward, Rambo leaves Thailand and returns to the United States for the first time in many years. He drives through the quiet countryside until he reaches a long dirt road leading to his family's ranch in Arizona. As he walks toward the property, he passes an old mailbox with the name R. Rambo written on it. He pauses for a moment before continuing toward the house. After spending years fighting wars in different parts of the world, John Rambo has finally come home. And that's where the story ends.